Hi everyone, it's Patricia from TarantulaHeaven.com. I have Miss Spidey hiding in her little secret lair. Her tank is looking a hot mess right now because I was intending to do an enclosure change, but I now have to unexpectedly travel for a little bit. So I am holding that off until I'm done with that, just so that I'm not putting her in a brand new enclosure and then, not monitoring her. So she's gonna be in this for a little bit longer. And maybe she doesn't like it because she's been hiding there for a while. But anyway, today I wanted to share some really cool research about how people are studying the stomach contents of spiders and now finding that spiders may be a lot more useful for pest control on farms than we previously thought. The reason that I think this is really important is because, one, pesticides and the current ways that we are trying to control pests are actually quite harmful to our health, and I think the need for natural solutions is very much needed or very, very important, but also because you guys know that I am really, really passionate about being able to show the general public and anybody who will listen that spiders are so useful and they should not be stigmatized the way that they are. So this particular article I will of course link to in the description, but basically I'll summarize it here. So we know that spiders are predators that do control insect populations, very, very important for our ecosystem. But some of these are actually pests that spiders eat, and I think that that is very, very important. And so they are looking at spiders as a biocontrol agent to limit pest populations due to their role in agricultural ecosystems. And when they were examining the possibility that spiders could be used for biocontrol, the research that did this article had to explore the diet of these spiders that were actually in semi-natural areas that surround farm fields, and whether part of their diet was actually pests that would be, wreaking havoc on these farms. So if you guys are tarantula owners or really love spiders, you'll know that spiders and tarantulas liquefy their prey. And that is due to, sometimes the size of the insects that are their prey. Also, perhaps because the exoskeleton of the bug is very hard or tough. And so sometimes, or often, tarantulas and spiders cannot mechanically chew their food. And so they will use their liquefying talents to consume their prey. And now I'm going to share a little part of this article that made me really sad. So apparently it's kind of hard to find out what a spider has eaten due to the digestive enzymes that the spiders expel during the digestive process. So because of those enzymes that happen during the liquefying and digestive process, a lot of the body tissues of the bugs that the spider has eaten are no longer recognizable or able to be identified through, regular means. And so a solution that researchers have found to identify the gut contents of spiders is to actually use DNA barcoding, which involves sequencing a short, standardized fragment of DNA from a particular gene to identify a species. And this can also be done with liquefied evidence. And DNA barcoding is not new. It has actually been around for 2 decades or so. It was found by biologist Paul Hebert, who applied DNA barcoding to arthropods. And since then, since those 2 decades, as you can imagine, the technology for DNA sequencing or DNA barcoding has become a lot more sophisticated. It's actually pretty easy to now identify quickly and accurately what species something is. And so DNA barcoding for spider gut content is a lot more popular than it used to be. They're looking to this research to determine what a spider eats and to learn about its role in the ecosystem. And this is the part that made me a little bit sad. So the DNA barcoding is done by capturing spiders in the field and then unfortunately ground up whole into what they call a DNA soup. using a specific set of steps to extract the DNA from the stomach contents. It kind of breaks my heart, and the article does not talk about, the ethics of this, like are these spiders being ground up whole while they're alive? It seems really, really awful and terrible. It does seem that for DNA barcoding this is necessary, because the article goes on to say the grinding step is important because a spider's stomach extends into many different parts of the body, and it's why total body grinding can help find results of a prey's remains. And I certainly hope that, part of the further research about DNA barcoding is that you no longer have to grind up healthy live animals to find out what they've eaten. But anyway, so the researchers use DNA barcoding to find out if a spider is a generalist, which means that, maybe the spider has a wide variety in species that it eats, or a specialist, which means that maybe a spider has a particular species or group of species, such as agricultural pests, that it prefers to feed upon. And so with this information, spiders could be looked at as potential biocontrol agents, which would be a lot more sustainable and cheaper and environmentally friendly solution than what we currently have for pest management. And I do think it's important to note that, maybe the outcome of this research will be to use more specialist spiders for things like biocontrol agents, but even generalist spiders, yes, they have a variety or a varied diet, and maybe they'll eat whatever they can find, but that will also include pest species. So I think even those spiders could be very important. Preliminary data found several spider functional groups, such as web-spinning spiders, ground spiders, ambush spiders, hunters, on farmlands with restored habitat next to crop fields. So the gist of this is that because of the information about spider stomach contents that we're now able to get, this may help us understand how spiders do play a role in our ecosystem, and could help us find environmentally sustainable methods for crop protection and ways of doing natural pest control, which is so important. Here's a really interesting fact. According to a meta-analysis of 58 published studies, spiders suppressed agricultural pest insects in 79% of the studies, which resulted in improved crop performance. And so I really, really love that bit of research. That really, really shows just how important this is and how important it is for this research to continue. And we know that relying excessively on chemicals to control pests is not the answer. It's not healthy for the ecosystem. It's not healthy for our health. And so it's definitely imperative that we do find better ecologically based approaches to control pests. So I really enjoyed reading about this. Like I said, I'll link it below in case you want to read it yourself. But this was really fascinating. And the bit about the spiders being ground up did make me a little bit disgusted and upset, but it sounds like it's going to lead to some very important research and perhaps some really, really great advancements and improvements to the way that we are currently controlling pests, and maybe even the health of our food and crops. So let me know what you think, guys. Did you know this? I'm curious to know your thoughts about it, and I will see you next week for Tarantula Tuesday. Take care. Bye-bye.